Welcome to the module where we're going to be talking about access control to cloud storage. In GCS, we can affect how people can access objects in several different ways. First of all, we can set up uniform bucket level access control using IAM. Then we can use fine-grained access control using both IAM and ACLs. Additionally, we can bypass all of that using signed URLs. And then we can control what people can upload using signed policy documents. Starting off with uniform bucket level access. It allows us to disable access control lists for a bucket, and that way only IAM permissions can be used for access control. IAM is used in Google Cloud for all kinds of permissions and can be used in GCS on either the project or the bucket level. Uniform bucket level access needs to be enabled separately or specified when creating a bucket, and this action can only be reverted within 90 days. IAM conditions can only be set on buckets that actually have uniform bucket level access enabled. Well, what about access control lists then? Well, ACLs are legacy object or bucket level access controls that are stored as metadata in the object itself or in the bucket. They were originally created for interoperability with Amazon's S3 object storage. An entry in an ACL consists of a permission, for example, read or write, and a scope, for example, specific user or group of users. There exist some predefined ACLs for various use cases, and new buckets use the project private predefined ACL by default. There's also a default object ACL, and that's the predefined project private ACL as well. So, which one should we use? Well, Google recommends using uniform bucket level access. If you have a use case where you would require different kind of permissions to be available for different objects, then put them in separate buckets. They're free. Note that if you use both IAM and ACLs, then the broader permissions are always used. If you want to make an individual object public, thus downloadable by anybody online, create an object ACL where you add a reader permission to the scope, all users. To make a whole bucket's content public, use IAM. What you need to do is to give all users the object viewer role. If you want to access this public data, you can just use the URL for that object. It's always using the hostname storage.googleapis.com, and that's followed by the bucket name / and the object key. If you want to, you can also prevent public access. That is a preview feature currently called public access prevention. We can also use signed URLs to give time-limited read or write access to an object. Signed URLs will always use the XML API, and v4, v2, and HMAC authentication signatures are supported. The maximum validity of a signed URL is 7 days. If you need to limit what can be uploaded into a bucket, use a signed policy document. Here, in this example policy document, we have the following conditions. First of all, it expires on June 16th, 2020 at 11:11:11 UTC. The file name for uploads can start with any valid character. However, the file must be uploaded to the bucket travel-maps. If the upload is successful, the user will then be redirected to a specific URL. And this way we can only upload JPEG images that cannot be larger than 1 megabyte. If you use the Firebase SDKs for cloud storage, you can then use the Firebase security rules for access control on objects. They will have similar functionalities than the other options.